Her silence isn't proof she doesn't care. That's the first thing you need to understand. Silence can mean restraint. It can mean pride. It can mean an internal war between what someone feels and what their ego will allow them to express. And you're caught in the crossfire of that war right now, sitting alone, replaying old conversations, analyzing the gaps, checking her social media like you're reading vital signs, looking for anything that tells you she's still thinking about you. And the thought that tortures you most is this one. If she actually missed me, she would just say so. That logic feels reasonable. It also keeps good men trapped because it assumes people behave honestly when honesty makes them feel exposed. They don't. Not when pride is involved, not when attachment is involved, not when there's something real at stake. Here's the core truth this is all built around. When a woman misses you but refuses to admit it, her behavior becomes a contradiction. She reaches without reaching. She signals without speaking. She tests without committing. And if you don't have the psychological framework to understand what's actually happening, you'll either chase like a desperate man or spiral like a wounded one. Both responses cost you, so let's do this properly, moving through the misconception, the hard truth, the root cause, what it costs you, and finally what you actually need to do differently, including what to stop, how to reclaim your sense of self, your standards, and your footing without becoming manipulative or bitter. Because this conversation isn't about winning her back, it's about winning yourself back. The misconception is this: if she misses me, she'll say so clearly. That's the storybook version of how adults behave in complicated emotional situations. That's the version that leads men to dissolve their own boundaries while waiting for a direct confession that will never arrive in the form they're expecting. The hard truth is messier. She can miss you and still refuse to hand you the satisfaction of knowing it. She can miss you and still believe that reaching out first means she loses power. She can miss you and still be uncertain whether you're actually right for her in the long run. She can miss you and still be waiting to see whether you've become someone different. She can miss you and still crave the emotional security you gave her while simultaneously wanting to avoid the accountability that came with it. That combination of desires pulling against each other is called emotional conflict. And when you don't understand emotional conflict, you misread everything. You interpret her silence as finality, or you interpret her small gestures as confirmation she's coming back. You oscillate between despair and hope with no stable ground beneath you. Why does this happen at all? The root of it is that vulnerability feels genuinely dangerous to her. Saying out loud that she misses you puts her in a position where you could reject her, ignore her, or use it as leverage. If she's been hurt before, or if she's someone who needs to feel in control of the emotional dynamics, she would rather carry the feeling quietly than give you that kind of access. So instead of saying anything direct, she sends signs. And signs are a particular kind of problem because they keep you emotionally invested while she remains protected behind plausible deniability. Let's talk about what those signs actually look like. Not the shallow stuff, not whether she watched your story, real patterns that reveal an internal struggle. The first is this: she creates contact without committing to any real connection. It shows up as the message with no real purpose, the random question she didn't need to ask, the excuse to reach out about something minor, something like, "Hey, do you remember that place?" Or "I saw this and thought of you," or "Hope you're doing well," which lands like a handshake through a window. It's contact, but it isn't closeness. What's actually happening when she does this is that she's sending a bid, a small emotional bid. She's tossing something light in your direction to see if you're still emotionally present. Because if she came out directly and said she missed you, she'd be exposed to your response. But a low-stakes message gives her information without risk. She gets to read your temperature. She gets to find out if you're still available without putting anything on the line herself. If you respond too fast, too eager, too long, she now knows you're still hooked. If you respond coldly, she learns she can't just stroll back in. And this is exactly where most men fall apart. They treat the bid like a full invitation. They pour emotion into something she barely extended. They write paragraphs. They over-explain. They try to undo the past through a single exchange. They perform their growth and their changed perspective and their willingness to be different, all in one text. A man who respects himself doesn't get lit up by crumbs. He doesn't punish her for it either. No coldness, no games. He just stays level. He responds like someone who has a life, not like someone who has been frozen in place waiting. Because the real question here isn't whether she misses you. The real question is whether she has the maturity to handle things like an adult. And if she doesn't, it's not your job to reward inconsistency with attention. Your job is to hold your ground. The second sign is that she stays close to your orbit while pretending she isn't watching. This one does something particular to your head because the behavior is contradictory. She isn't talking to you, but she's around. She's watching your content. She appears in the same spaces. She interacts with people in your circle. She makes herself visible in indirect ways, but she never fully steps in. She keeps one foot out the door at all times. That isn't random behavior. That's a mixture of emotion and strategy operating at the same time. She misses the version of herself she became when she was around you. She misses the presence you brought, the security, the way your consistency made life feel more structured. And at the same time, she doesn't want to surrender her independence or admit openly that she made a mistake, so she hovers. Hovering is a way of keeping the door cracked without walking through it. Name it for what it is, because once you can name something, you stop romanticizing it. This is orbiting. Orbiting means I want access to your energy without offering you anything in return. It's the emotional equivalent of standing outside a restaurant and breathing in the smell of the food because you don't want to pay for the meal. And if you haven't built self-respect, you'll accept it. You'll let her feed on your attention. You'll let her keep you as an available option. You'll let her benefit from your steadiness while she remains free from any responsibility toward you. That isn't love. That's unresolved attachment. An attachment without clarity is a trap. Ask yourself honestly, if she truly valued your place in her life, would she leave you in limbo? Would she keep the signals deliberately unclear and call it timing? So why are you accepting it? Because when you're emotionally hungry, you don't negotiate from strength. You settle. That's the cost. You lose your dignity. You lose focus on your actual life. You lose your ability to walk away cleanly from what isn't working. You stop training. You stop building. You stop sleeping properly. You stop being fully present in your own world. And here's the painful part. She can feel that collapse in you. Women don't respond to your words. They respond to your centeredness, your groundedness, your self-control, your capacity to be fully okay without them. And when you're clearly not okay, you become less compelling, even if she genuinely misses you. The third sign is the subtlest one, and it sounds like maturity at first glance, which is exactly why it's dangerous. She tries to reframe the breakup without acknowledging what she actually feels. She'll say things like, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, or I think we both had a part in how things went, or I just want there to be no hard feelings between us. She'll bring up a shared memory, a moment, a song, somewhere you both went. Her tone softens. She gets nostalgic. She acts like she's gently closing a chapter with grace. But watch what she's actually doing. She's reopening the emotional file while making it look like closure. She's doing it in a way that lets her preserve her pride, because if she simply said she missed you, she'd have to own that directly. But if she says she's been reflecting, she gets to be the composed, evolved, emotionally intelligent one. That is emotional laundering. She's running feeling through the filter of logic so she can express closeness without appearing vulnerable. And understanding why she does it matters, because the reason tells you what she actually wants. Sometimes it's a genuine desire to reconnect. Sometimes it's just a need for closure. Sometimes it's about validation, wanting to confirm she still matters to you. Sometimes it's about guilt relief, wanting to feel better about how things ended without actually returning. So don't respond to her words. Respond to her direction. Is she moving toward clarity, toward ownership of her behavior, toward actual respect? Or is she moving toward ambiguity, nostalgia, and emotional access with no strings attached? One of those directions leads somewhere real. The other leads to you becoming her emotional support X, which is a role that will quietly dismantle whatever self-respect you have left. Now, here's the part that separates men who lead their own lives from men who get dragged along by their feelings. A woman missing you is not the reward. Your standards are the reward. Your peace is the reward. Your sense of direction is the reward. Because you can be deeply missed by someone who is completely wrong for you, and it will still cost you everything. You are not on this earth to be missed. You are here to be respected. You are here to build something that doesn't fall apart every time one person is undecided. Her missing you doesn't mean you should return. It means there is still emotional residue between you, and emotional residue is not a relationship. It's unfinished energy. The man who navigates this correctly isn't the one who wins her back. He's the one who wins himself back. He's calm, not cold. There's an important difference. He doesn't perform strength. He lives it. He doesn't send a stream of messages chasing clarity. He creates clarity through how he moves, through what he tolerates, through what he simply refuses to accept. His limits don't require dramatic speeches. His purpose doesn't pause for mixed signals. He lives in reality, not in the story he wishes were true. He understands something simple and absolute. When someone genuinely wants to be in your life, they make it easy to respect them. He doesn't have contempt for her. He doesn't speak down about her. He doesn't play games. He simply refuses to abandon himself for someone who hasn't shown up with clarity. That refusal is what makes him compelling in a real sense. Not because he's playing a role, but because he's actually not controlled by craving. He operates from values. So when she reaches out with something soft and uncertain, he doesn't spike with adrenaline. He doesn't rush. He doesn't pour himself into it. He responds with composure. He listens for ownership. He watches for consistency. He learns to distinguish between a woman who misses him and a woman who misses the attention he used to supply. That distinction is everything. It's called discernment, and it's one of the most important things a man can develop. Here's what the practical application looks like, laid out plainly. Stop reading signs as promises. A sign is not a commitment. A signal is not a plan. A text is not a relationship. You don't build your future on hints. Stop rewarding ambiguity with full investment. The moment you give relationship level energy to someone showing up at a fraction of that level, you've taught her she can have access to you without earning it. And you're not doing that out of love. You're doing it out of fear. If she reaches out, match the energy, but lead with your standards. Be polite. Be brief, be grounded. Don't punish, don't chase, don't perform, don't confess your feelings first. Don't attempt to process everything that happened over text as though you're each other's therapist. Keep it clean. If she wants to have a real conversation, she can have one like an adult. If she wants to rebuild something, she can show that through consistent action, not through vibes. After any contact, redirect your attention back to your actual life immediately. Don't let one message hijack your entire day. Don't let a single interaction derail the discipline you've been building. That's how relapse happens, and not the kind people usually talk about. Men relapse into fantasy, into the idea of her, into a future that exists only in the version of events they've constructed in their heads. The antidote is immediate, concrete action. Train, work, build, sleep, clean your space, handle your finances. Spend time with the people who are actually present in your life. Learn something that challenges you. Grow in ways that have nothing to do with impressing her, because this is about restoring your own sense of who you are. And if at some point you decide you're genuinely open to reconnection, ask for clarity early, but not out of desperation. Not, do you miss me? Which positions you as someone hoping for scraps. Ask, what do you actually want? Which positions you as someone leading the conversation from a grounded place. That question forces reality to surface. And if she can't answer it, then you already have the only answer that matters. There's one more layer worth addressing, because some of what's happening for you isn't really about her at all. You don't want her. You want the relief she represents. You want the rush of being chosen again. You want to feel like you're enough. And dating from that place, needing someone else to confirm your worth, is called outsourced self-worth. It will make you tolerate almost anything. It will cause you to reinterpret disrespect as a communication style issue. It will cause you to read inconsistency as fear. It will cause you to accept emotional unavailability as a fixed feature of how women work. Female psychology is real and worth understanding, but it is not a blanket justification for abandoning your own standards. So let's bring this to something clear. If she misses you but won't admit it, there is a conflict inside her. Desire against pride, attachment against fear, the pull of respect against the pull of control. But that is her conflict to resolve, not yours to manage on her behalf. Your responsibility is to remain someone you actually respect, no matter what she decides. The moment her decision becomes the center of your world, you lose your center. And once that's gone, everything else starts to erode with it. Your momentum goes, your edge goes. Your ability to make clean decisions about what you deserve goes. If she genuinely wanted to come back in a clear and respectful way, you wouldn't be spending your nights decoding her behavior like you're piecing together evidence. Clarity feels settled. Confusion feels like a drug. So choose the settled feeling. Choose discipline. Choose your own self-respect over the high of uncertainty. Does any of this mean she definitely doesn't miss you? Not necessarily. She might miss you more than you know. She might be fighting the urge to reach out every single day. She might be watching from a distance, wondering if you've moved forward, wondering whether she made the wrong call. But here's where the line has to be drawn. Her missing you means nothing if she can't show up with respect. Missing is a feeling. Respect is a behavior. You build a life on behaviors, not feelings. So reset your identity around this. You are not the man who waits in limbo. You are not the man who goes begging for clarity from someone who benefits from your confusion. You are not the man who exchanges his peace for the temporary warmth of someone's divided attention. You are the standard. You are the limit. You are the calm that doesn't collapse when someone else is unsettled. And when you actually move like that, two things become possible. She shows up with the kind of clarity and respect the situation requires, or she fades out entirely. And both of those outcomes are a win, because in neither case did you lose yourself in the process. If this reached something real in you, pass it on to someone who needs to hear it. We all have someone in our lives navigating exactly this.